It seems that over the centuries, Celtic and Brythonic beliefs have been diluted, stripped of their original religious and cultural depth. Hollywood and fantasy tales have dramatized what was once revered as important ritual and meaning. The gods and spiritual beings have now been reduced to the whimsical and harmless fairies of children's tales. These ancient ideologies are now dismissed as fantasy, tossed into the same realm as bedtime stories or fantasy movies. But for our ancestors, these beings and stories were no less real than Christianity is to its followers today. These beliefs shaped reality. They influenced how people lived, guided where they travelled, and taught respect for certain places. People would avoid specific hills or paths at dawn, fearing that a single misstep could lead them to the otherworld with the Sdhe. The Sdhe, or Ace Sdhe, are the original fairies of Celtic mythology. Beings of power, beauty, dark, light and mystery who inhabit the otherworld, a realm that exists in parallel to our own. Far from the tiny, whimsical fairies seen in children's tales, the Sdhe are an ancient race of supernatural beings who represent nature, fate, and the magical forces that shape the world. They are both revered and feared by the Celts, expressing the mystery and wonder of the world. The word Sdhe means mound or hill in Old Irish, referring to the ancient burial mounds believed to be portals to the otherworld. Our ancestors believed in these beings as a way to make sense of themselves and the world around them. Today, we're more inclined to learn through direct factual methods, but I think there's something powerful in exploring the world through our ancient ancestors' beliefs. Learning in this way can reach deeper into our psyche, molding our understanding of life in a way that connects deep into our psyche. The news and media clearly understand this influence. They bombard us daily with the stories they want us to focus on, shaping opinions and worldviews, especially for those who struggle to think critically. But I believe this approach can also be used as a positive tool. By tapping into these ancient perspectives, we can gain a stronger sense of self-awareness, build resilience, and develop life skills and moral character that are truly lasting. For the Celts, nature was seen as a powerful living force that had both nurturing and perilous qualities. Forests provided food and shelter, but they were also dark, mysterious, and could be deadly if one got lost or encountered wild animals. Rivers and seas brought life through water and fishing, but they could also claim lives through storms and drownings. The Sdhe as nature spirits mirror this balance. They could bless crops or protect individuals, but they could also curse or harm those who disrespected them or trespassed in sacred spaces. It reflects the unpredictable qualities of nature. The Celts saw life as a continuous cycle, with death as a natural part of existence rather than a purely negative force. The Sdhe, dwelling in the otherworld, remind people of this cycle, explaining both creation and decay. They're present in the land's fertility, yet they're also tied to burial mounds and death. This duality helps us to accept life's transient nature and to find meaning in both its joys and its sorrows. The Sdhe are part of this cycle, eternally young, yet connected to death and transformation. The Sdhe are considered to be the descendants of the Sídhe-the Dan, a supernatural race of beings who, according to Irish mythology, once ruled Ireland. The Sdhe first appear in early Irish mythology and medieval manuscripts like the Libor Gabála Érenn, the Book of Invasions, and later on in the Annals of the Four Masters and the Book of Leinster. These texts date from the 12th century. After being defeated by the human Milesians, who are considered the first ancestors of the modern Irish people and are depicted as a group of human settlers who came to Ireland from Spain, the Sídhe-the Dan retreated into the otherworld, becoming the Sdhe, the people of the mounds. These burial mounds, called Sdhe in Irish, were said to be entrances to their hidden world, where they live in a realm which is similar but surpasses our own. In the otherworld, the Sdhe are immortal, living in a paradise of eternal youth, beauty and magic. Time moves differently there, often slowing down or bending in ways that could leave a mortal visitor disoriented or lost upon returning. The Sdhe are not bound by mortal laws or perceptions. They are as fluid and complex as nature itself, with qualities of both light and dark, beauty and danger. so the Sdhe are far from the childish interpretation given to us by Disney and terrible modern Hollywood movies. These beings should not be taken lightly. They are not simple caricatures of mischief or comedy. They represented real forces, and their stories carry a cultural and spiritual significance to us. Surprisingly, Shakespeare was one of the first to turn these beings into what I'd call silly spirits of the stage. In A Midsummer Night's Dream and The Tempest, elves and fairies aren't the powerful, mysterious figures we know from ancient folklore. Instead, they're reimagined as playful, mischievous creatures full of magic and trickery. Shakespeare transformed them from beings of awe into figures of whimsy, forever changing how people perceive these supernatural forces. Puck, also known as Robin Goodfellow in A Midsummer Night's Dream, is a mischievous fairy who delights in causing confusion and chaos among humans. Although Puck retains a hint of his original folklore as a character who could lead travellers astray or create supernatural mischief. Unfortunately, Shakespeare turned him into a pathetic comedic character. He was magical, light-hearted, and far from the fearsome or spiritual beings of earlier lore. Ariel in The Tempest is another example of how Shakespeare softened these creatures. Ariel is a spirit bound to the magician Prospero, more of a servant or helper than an independent force of nature. Ariel's lightness and the play's whimsical tone erode the ancient sense of awe and danger associated with supernatural beings. Shakespeare's contributions to literature are undeniable, but his interpretation of these creatures morphed them from spiritual and mythic figures to characters of romantic comedy and farce is disheartening. His light-hearted portrayal stripped them of their depth, making them characters of entertainment rather than beings to be revered or feared. I think that Disney was really an attempt to make the final blow. While Shakespeare laid the groundwork for the trivialization of mythical beings, it was Disney that delivered the biggest impact. Disney's animated films have cemented in popular culture the image of fairies as childish, comedic, and often absurd. Tinkerbell from Peter Pan represents Disney's treatment of fairies. She is small, cute, and mostly non-threatening, far removed from the enigmatic and sometimes dangerous fairies of Celtic mythology. Disney's Tinkerbell is an emblem of the company's tendency to make these figures marketable, easy to digest, and ultimately trivial. At the very least, Shakespeare's Ariel in The Tempest is described as a spirit of the air, which adds some mystery, although in my opinion not a touch on the ancient characteristics of the Sdhe. They are human-like, but with an ethereal quality, almost otherworldly. They are tall, radiant, and beautiful, with an appearance that can range from luminous and angelic to eerie and unsettling. Many stories and people who have seen them describe them as having pale, radiant skin, often glowing with an otherworldly light, piercing eyes, sometimes green or silver, that convey wisdom and a hint of danger, long flowing hair in shades of gold, silver, or deep black, expressing their connection to the forces of nature and magic. They wear fine, elaborate clothing, usually in colours like green, silver, or white, with materials finer than anything found in the mortal realm. They often wear nature-inspired attire, with clothing decorated with symbols of the earth, trees, or stars. Some Sdhe can even blend into nature itself, becoming one with the trees, rivers, or mist, expressing their connection to the natural world. Unlike the shallow modern fairies, the Sdhe included both male and female beings who hold important roles within their society. The female Sdhe are known for their beauty and enchanting voices. Female Sdhe are often guardians of sacred places, or as representations of fertility and prosperity. Beings like Befind Beivin, the White Lady, or the Bean Sea, Banshee, represent both the nurturing and fearful aspects of femininity. As you may know, banshees are known as omens of death, wailing when someone is about to die, while other female Sdhe appear as enchanting yet potentially dangerous beings who may offer blessings or curses. The male Sdhe were often warriors, kings, and protectors of the land. Beings like Manannán mac Lir, the sea god, and Engus, the god of love, are Sdhe. Manannán is a powerful figure who guides souls to the other world and rules over it. Male Sdhe are wise and generous, but are also known for their temper, especially when disrespected. They embodied qualities of strength, courage, and sometimes trickery. The Sdhe have a society that paralleled the human world with kings, queens, warriors, and healers. They live in grand palaces hidden from mortal eyes, but located in sacred sites like fairy mounds, hills, forests, or under lakes. Some well-known fairy hills, such as Knockmere in County Galway or Brúna Newgrange, are considered as places where Sdhe reside. The Sdhe are governed by a code of honour and are known to be bound by a strong sense of reciprocity. Kindness and respect shown to them will often be repaid with blessings, while any offence or disrespect could lead to a curse or your misfortune. For this reason, it may be a good idea to respect the Sdhe, such as leaving small offerings of food or drink at certain places or avoiding fairy paths. These paths cross certain areas believed to belong to the Sdhe. The Sdhe are known to interact with humans, often in ways that are both helpful and harmful. If we treat the Sdhe with respect, leaving offerings or acknowledging their presence, we could receive blessings, good fortune, or protection. Some people leave small gifts at fairy mounds or wells, such as milk, bread, or coins, to ensure the goodwill of the Sdhe. However, be careful, as interactions with the Sdhe could also be perilous. Many stories tell of people being taken by them, either willingly or by force, to live in the Otherworld. These humans might return years later, having aged barely a day, or never return at all. The Sdhe are also known to play tricks, especially on those who trespassed on their land or mock their existence. The Sdhe's interactions with humans is the tale of changelings, fairy children left in place of human babies. Eerily, the Sdhe sometimes take a human child and leave one of their own in its place, leading to a range of protective rituals among humans to prevent this from happening. Samhain, October 31st, and Beltane, May 1st, are particularly important, as these are considered liminal times when the veil between the human world and the other world is thin. During Samhain, the dead and the Sdhe could cross over more easily, and it was common to leave offerings to protect oneself from mischief or harm. On these nights, it is said that the Sdhe roam freely, and humans are advised to stay indoors or be especially respectful if you're out. The fear of disturbing the Sdhe was ingrained in Celtic and Brittonic culture, with taboos about disturbing certain sites or speaking ill of the fair folk. The legacy of the Sdhe continues today, and in folklore, art, and primarily in modern-day traditions in Ireland and Scotland. The respect and wariness of certain places like fairy mounds, old trees, and sacred wells can be seen in communities where people might avoid building on or disturbing these areas. Fairy paths are also spoken about, with some locals going to great lengths to avoid disrupting these ancient roots. That's all for now. Thank you for listening.